What's up, passionate DJs? Now, whenever there's a new piece of Engine OS powered hardware, somebody inevitably wants me to tell them what I think about it here on Passionate DJ. Now, I've done a lot of reviews of Engine OS stuff and Denon Prime stuff, and I thought it was finally time to go ahead and bring it all together and put together one of my ultimate guides covering all of this stuff. So today I'm presenting to you my ultimate guide to Denon DJ Prime and Engine OS powered hardware. So we're going to talk about the players, the SC5000s and 6000s, and the motorized versions of those. We're going to talk about the DJ controllers like the LC6000 and some of the other Denons that sort of straddle the line. We're going to talk about the standalones like the Prime 4, the Prime 2, the Prime Go. We're going to talk about the mixers like the X1800 and X1850 Prime. Also, the only non-Denon item on today's list, which is the Numark Mixstream Pro. We're going to talk about the turntables and the interface. We're going to cover it all right here today. Let's get to it. All right, so let's first talk about what Engine OS even is. Now, Engine OS is a purpose-built operating system for standalone DJ hardware, which also helps you manage your music library on that same device. Now, Engine offers a consistent feature set across its players, stuff like multi-touch displays with gesture support, tri-band waveforms which kind of help show track dynamics, integration with online music streaming services, lighting control via DMX or Philips Hue, a dual waveform view, track preview which lets you listen to a track without loading it to a deck. So generally speaking, if you use one Engine OS product, you kind of have an idea on how to use the rest of them. Everything is intuitive and consistent as to not disrupt your DJing workflow. For example, each of the DJ players and standalones have a set of physical knobs for loading tracks, as well as a touchscreen method to do the same thing. Now, the other side of Engine is the Engine DJ desktop software. Now, this is what you can use to prepare your library, make playlists, add tags, and so on from the comfort of your computer. And once you have your playlist set up the way that you want, you can export them to external devices like a USB drive or Dropbox for use on your Engine-powered hardware. It also supports importing your libraries directly from Rekordbox, Serato DJ, Traktor, and even Apple Music or iTunes, which makes migration really easy. Your music, playlists, hotkeys, and loops will all carry over. So overall, the idea is that you can sit at your laptop and prepare your library to your tastes, and then move over to your Engine-powered device and have everything operate the way that you expect. Now, while many functions of the desktop app can be performed on the hardware itself, like analyzing tracks, it's always easier to do bulk editing with a keyboard and mouse. You can also use the desktop app to audition track blends and transitions and stuff like that. It lets you play two tracks at once and do basic crossfading and looping and stuff like that, so it makes it easy for you to sort of rough in your DJ sets before you play them. I do want to give a quick tutorial on what it's like to DJ with an Engine OS device. The first thing you're going to want to do is select a source. In my case, I'm using Dropbox. I have an online collection, but you could use one of these streaming services here, or source that you've plugged straight into the device. And then, of course, you just want to browse your playlists and tracks and find something to play. Now, you can do this using a set of physical buttons or by swiping on the screen and using gestures. So, for example, if I want to load this track here, I could click the knob in and it will ask me which deck I want to load it into. Or I could just pick one of these buttons here and it will automatically load it into decks 1 or 2. Or I could actually swipe right on it, say load, and then choose which deck to load it into. Next, you'll want to start playing and adjusting your tracks, making sure that they line up in the way that you want, and start mixing. You can use the jog wheels to adjust your timing or to do scratch motions or whatever you want to do. And of course, you can use the pitch faders to adjust your tempo, and they all feel really nice on pretty much all these devices. If you want to, you can grab loops in a number of different ways. My favorite way is by using one of these single knob encoders here. You can select the size of the loop by twisting it, and then you just click it in and it will grab whatever size loop, and you can twist it to adjust the size on the fly. You can also do a manual in and out point for your loop right there, or you could use the loop function on beat pads to grab a different loop size. These all represent different loop sizes. You can do other things with the beat pads, such as set cue points and trigger them here, or pre-made loops, saved loops. You can also use a roll effect, which is like a beat repeating effect, or a slicer if you want to slice up a beat into pieces and finger drum it. And as you're familiarizing yourself with your Engine OS device, you will want to start poking around here in the menu, which you can do by either swiping down on this or by actually hitting a physical menu button on your device. You can do different things here like connect to your Wi-Fi, record your sets, control lighting, and also you have a user profile on any Engine OS device, and the cool thing about this is that it follows you. Basically, it will follow your USB or SD card or whatever it is that you have with you, and then it will keep track of all sorts of your preferences, such as your speed range of your pitch faders, or the nudge sensitivity of the jog wheels, how the sync button works, the colors of your decks, all that kind of stuff, and you don't have to configure that every single time. So if you have multiple Engine OS devices, or your friends have one and whatever, you can go over there, put your stuff in there, and everything will be how you like it without messing up their stuff, which is pretty great. And then there's, of course, also a settings menu here, and you have all kinds of settings for your device, connecting to Wi-Fi, and like the brightness of the screen, and mic controls, and the services that you're connected to for streaming and stuff like that. And then, of course, there is the firmware update. The cool thing about updating your firmware, you're constantly getting not only bug fixes, but new features on these devices. Inside the settings menu here, you have this update firmware thing here where you can reboot, and it will put you into firmware update mode. Now, in this case, there is an update available on the internet, and it's going to do an over-the-air update. Another way that you could do that is by downloading either the PC or Mac updater and connecting it to your laptop, or by downloading the USB updater and putting it on a USB stick, and then you can plug it in and update it that way. So there are a number of options on how to do this because, for one reason or another, one of them might not be available. For instance, if you have an older SC5000, you can't get on Wi-Fi if you have an old version of firmware, so you definitely want to update that. Now, with this over-the-air update, we are downloading it, again, straight from the internet over my Wi-Fi connection. It's going to do a reboot. Sometimes it'll take a little while. One thing you want to make sure you don't do is lose power here, so don't unplug anything if you can absolutely help it. And there we go. We are good to go, again, with our latest version of Engine OS. Okay, it's time to talk actual hardware. And by the way, all the stuff we're talking about today is available for order at thedjhookup.com, which is our preferred DJ hardware provider. They're the homies, and they'll hook it up, so go check them out. Links for all this stuff can be found right below this video. Alright, as far as the hardware itself, we should probably first talk about the full standalone DJ systems. That's probably why many of you are here, and for good reason. A standalone system basically has everything that you need to start mixing music. So in other words, at least 2 decks and a mixer, and no need for a laptop. Now, by the way, I have a whole guide about this topic specifically, so if you'd like to know more about this type of standalone system, go ahead and hit the link in the description below. So let's start at the top of the lineup with the Denon DJ Prime 4. Now this is the most powerful multi-deck standalone DJ system on the entire market, and it provides the biggest and best set of features too. It comes in at a price of $18.99 US. And it has a big, beautiful 10-inch adjustable HD display. It's comparable to what you might find on a Pioneer XDJ RX3, but it's at a much higher quality than anything older than that. It has high-quality 6-inch jog wheels, giving you plenty of room and resolution for making fine adjustments. It's got 4 assignable inputs for connecting media players or turntables, and a whole suite of effects that come directly from Denon's X1850 Prime mixer. Now, it can play music straight from one of its 4 USB ports or from an SD card. And actually, it even includes a 2.5-inch hard drive bay, allowing you to carry all your music on the unit itself. It also makes for a pretty decent Serato DJ or virtual DJ controller. And it supports timecode as well, so if you want to put this at the center of a DVS setup, you are welcome to do so. Denon DJ recently discontinued this device's little brother, the Prime 2, but since it's basically a shrunken down Prime 4 and it runs the same Engine OS software as everything else we're talking about today, it should probably be well supported for a while. So anyway, then there's the SC Live 4 and SC Live 2. Now in many ways, these feel kind of like miniaturized Prime 4s. The Live 4 is a 4-channel version, and the Live 2 is, of course, a smaller 2-channel version. There are a couple of other mild differences too. For instance, you'll notice that there are 4 beat pads on each side on the Live 2 as opposed to 8, and you also don't get that same digital display there in the middle of the jog wheel. They do offer 2 things that the Prime 4 doesn't. That's the ability to use Amazon Music Unlimited as a streaming source, and the inclusion of onboard powered speakers. Now, however, there are many features missing from the Prime 4 once you start digging a little bit. Most importantly, you can't mix external sources like CDJs or turntables. Now, another big difference is the screen size. The 10.1-inch touchscreen on the Prime 4 is just massive when compared to the 7-inch screens on the SC Live devices. Now, there are some other differences too. The SC Live devices are fully plastic, while the Prime 4 has a metal faceplate up top. You can install a laptop hard drive into the Prime 4 and keep all your music locally on the device, which is not something you can do on the SC Lives. The Prime 4 has more available mic controls with physical buttons instead of screen controls. And also the 2 devices handle effects a bit differently. The Prime 4 has a traditional controller-style layout, which is very robust and has these little OLED screens to help you make adjustments. The SC Live 4 and 2 have more of a traditional club mixer kind of layout with an assignment knob where you select where you're applying the effects to and some parameter adjustments and then a big old on-off button. Now, I'd say the Prime 4 is a little more intricate with effects, whereas the SC Live 4 and 2 are just a little cleaner and more simplified. It's really all a matter of preference. Now, I recently published a video that compares the Prime 4 and the Live 4 in great and gory detail, which you can find linked in the description below, and by the end of that video, you should definitely know which of those 2 is right for you. Now, next up, we have the Denon DJ Prime Go. Now, this is a handy little device, and it's unique among all the other standalones in that it's battery-powered. That's right, its 4-hour battery life and convenient size makes it extremely portable. It enables you to do stuff like take it with you to a hotel room or bedroom or a desk or whatever, and this makes it easy to do track prep or preview tracks or perform test mixes or record sets, whatever you want. Prime Go is very backpackable, meaning that you can just grab it and head to wherever you're going to go. So it's really a handy, convenient, all-in-one DJ system for about $1,000. The Go does also support computer mode and allows you to use the popular Virtual DJ software. So if you'd like to use this as a DJ controller for Virtual DJ, you can do that. And finally, we have a pretty intriguing budget option. For $699, you could choose the Numark Mixstream Pro. Now, this is the only non-Denon product on the list today. Not only is it a great price for a great 2-channel standalone device, it has onboard speakers too. In fact, this was the first standalone DJ system to include such a feature. The Numark runs the same Engine OS software as everything else on this list, has a pretty nice display and build quality, is pretty reliable, and honestly is one of the best values in the DJ hardware market. The onboard speakers sound fine, and no matter where you go, you have a built-in DJ monitor which can be independently controlled. Now, that is a pretty sweet feature, but it is important to bear in mind that they won't fill a large room with sound. Now, while testing it in the car, it was sufficiently loud, but not louder than my stock car stereo. It's excellent for a small gathering, house or hotel party, or for mixing on a live stream.
It's not necessarily complimentary to full-figured men like myself.
Expect the kind of sound you'd get from an okay portable Bluetooth speaker. Now, when comparing these speakers with the SC Live 4, they don't really hold up. They are functional, but they aren't going to blow you away. With the Live 4, you actually get a little bit of mid-bass action, which actually vibrates the device a little bit. The Numark is a bit tinny in comparison, but still, they're fine and a lovely feature. important to note, however, that there is no dedicated booth output here. That's something that I would definitely consider a trade-off. Alright, so which of these should you choose? Now, before you go straight to the top and choose the Prime 4, it's important to realize that there are a standard set of features found on all these devices. They're all able to play music from USB or SD cards or over Wi-Fi with all the same streaming services, with the exception of Amazon Music on the Live 2 and 4. So it's important to kind of be warned that you can't access that Amazon library that you're building on your SC Live 4 or 2 on any other Engine OS devices, the same way that you could with any of the other streaming services. Now, all these devices have nice screens with multi-gesture support, as well as hotkeys and pitch faders and 3-band EQs and filter knobs. All of them let you control and sync music with lighting using DMX, Nanoleaf, and Philips Hue smart lights. They all support track preview, onboard music analysis, which means that you don't have to do this separately on a laptop, onboard mix recording, and the Ableton Link protocol, which helps you sync devices over a network. So from there, let's compare the Prime Go with the Mixstream Pro. The obvious comparison here is battery versus speakers. Now, I spent a lot of studio time with both of these products, and I found myself very quickly getting used to both of these features. So for example, sometimes I just wanted to preview a song or a transition really quick, but I didn't want to dedicate a whole thing to it. I just needed to satisfy a little idea or a craving in my head. And the Mixstream Pro was just connected to my Wi-Fi, it was logged into my Beatport Link account, and it was really easy for me to just jump in and out of casual mixing. I didn't need to worry about being connected to a sound system or being at my DJ table or anything like that. I just turn it on and start messing around. Same kind of goes for the Prime Go. Once you get used to the idea that it doesn't have to be plugged in all the time, I found myself moving from my studio to my living room and between different surfaces in the same room. Over time, you start to feel a bit tethered by your power cord. Of course, if you want to hear anything but your headphones, it's eventually going to need to be plugged into something. Generally speaking, I'd say both units feel pretty solid, with perhaps the Go having a bit of an upper edge on quality. I'm sure the weight of the battery probably adds a little bit to this feeling, but the Mixstream does have much more usable jog wheels. The Prime Go's feel nice, mechanically speaking, but they're just really quite small. There's also a big price difference between these two, and I do wonder what will happen to that internal battery over time on the Go. So generally speaking, it comes down to the price difference and whether you value the battery or onboard speakers more. So then let's jump back to the Prime 4. This and the newly released SC Live 4 are the only true 4-channel standalone DJ systems on the market. Now, while competing hardware like the Pioneer XDJ XZ supports 4 channels, it can't play them all on its own. The 3rd and 4th channels have to come from somewhere, like turntables or CDJs. So if standalone 4-channel mixing is important to you, the Prime 4 or the SC Live 4 are literally your only options. Now, while the Prime Go and Mixstream Pro are meant to be hyper-portable devices centered around convenience, the Prime 4 could be more thought of as the center of a larger DJ setup. You have a decent mixer based on the X1850, which means you have access to way more effects than you do with the cheaper devices. Especially the Prime Go, it really hardly has any effects to speak of. And perhaps more importantly, it has all the connections that you would need for adding turntables or digital players to your setup, so this could be part of your full dream setup at home, but you could still take the main guts out to a gig and play a full set on 4 decks. But you are paying $1,900 for that privilege, and while it doesn't have the most obnoxious footprint we've ever seen, it doesn't exactly fit in a backpack like the Prime Go does. Of course, the Prime 2 is hard for me to recommend outright since it's discontinued. However, I don't want to scare you away if you own one or bought one recently. It does run the same Engine OS software, so if you've had a chance to buy it used or at a discount, I don't want to discourage you. The Prime 2 does pretty much anything the Prime 4 does, except with 2 channels, and no external connections for other DJ gear. If you want a fairly premium experience and you don't care about mixing from other sources, the SC Live 4 or 2 is a no-brainer. But if what you need is a simple, no-frills DJ setup that is easy to move around, save yourself some money and go with either a Prime Go or even Numark Mixstream Pro. If If you want to get to know any of these standalones better, I've included my full reviews of each of them in the description below. But what if you don't want an all-in-one setup? Well, it's time to talk about the Denon DJ SC Prime players and mixers. And starting with those mixers, Denon's current offering is the X1850 Prime. And what you're looking at here is actually the X1800 Prime, because it's what I have in front of me, and it's technically the 1850's predecessor. Now there are a few minor differences between these two. The X1850 Prime offers, quote, newly designed audio circuitry taking full advantage of today's highest quality components and converters. The control surface features various LED refinements and visual improvements such as EQs with white bass indicators and buttons with controlled illumination. Effects enhancements such as customizable quantize settings, effects limiter, a 3/4 time on the touch strip, and 2 brand new BPM effects called Echo Hold and Pumper. And it receives upgraded channel faders, a locking IEC cable, plus various other improvements and refinements. Alright, so really the most notable functional enhancement here has to do with the effects. The quantize function and the addition of the 2 new BPM effects are the most interesting differences here on paper. Now, personally, I think that the biggest reason for this minor update to this mixer has to do with that first bullet point. Now, the X1800 Prime has a known defect that has to do with internal grounding issues. In fact, this very mixer that you see here has suffered from those problems. So I suspect that the 1850 was improved to help avoid such issues. Now, if you've ended up with an 1800 that makes weird buzzing noises or acts abnormally, there are tutorials on YouTube which can help you out. But the X1850 and 1800 are 4-channel hardware mixers with dual USB cards. So the nice thing about this mixer is if you've used any kind of 4-channel mixer in recent history, everything here is going to be pretty familiar to you. So up here at the top, you've got your source selection. Below that, you have your mixing and EQ section. So you've got your gain knobs and then a 3-band EQ. Below that, you have your filters, a dedicated filter knob. Turn it right for high pass and turn it left for low pass. Below that, you have your sweep effects, and this is something that you can assign a set of 4 sweep effects over to the left here, and then engage those with a left or right knob turn. Just kind of a simple 1-button, 1-knob effect that's easy to apply on the fly. Now, of course, there is a standard set of BPM synced mixer effects too. Now, this is mostly fairly standard stuff like echo, transform, delay, flanger, phaser, stuff like that. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to demo all of these effects. This video is already getting quite long. But in addition to the onboard effects, these mixers have a send-return system. So if we take a look here at the back, you'll see these 1/4-inch jacks for send and return. Now, actually, it says receive back here. But this allows you to chain in an effects box or a guitar pedal or whatever you like in order to expand beyond the capabilities of the mixer's stock effects. To engage effects, first select which one you want to apply. Use this button to tap the tempo if necessary. And by the way, quantization on the 1850 helps these effects keep better time. Select the frequency range you're applying the effects to. Tap a beat division on the touchpad. Select how much effects you're applying, known as the wet and dry signal, and hit the big engage button. Below each fader, you can assign it to a crossfader, which is down here below. Denon calls it the flex fader. Has a really nice solid feel to it. Over here on the left, you've got your small and large headphones connections, the levels of which you can set right here, your headphones level and then your Q mix. It does support split Q for those of you who like to separate the sound in your left and right headphones. And the mixer also supports 2 mic inputs. You can adjust the settings of that here, including a 2-band EQ. Alright, so on the back of the mixer, you'll see 4 channels worth of RCA jacks. All of these are either phono or line, so you could connect 4 turntables here if you wanted to. And your second mic connection is here. The first one is up on the top there with the controls. Then you have a MIDI output, which you could use to sync with hardware synths or whatever your heart desires. Over on the left, you have XLR and RCA main outputs, as well as a separate record output and a 1/4-inch booth output. Now here you have a set of digital connections. You can use the digital link in and out ports to daisy-chain multiple Denon mixers together losslessly. And you can use these to connect your Denon players digitally to the mixer rather than through old-school stereo analog RCA cords. Now finally, one of my favorite things about the Prime mixers is their built-in network hub. Now over here on the right, you can see it has a 5-port Ethernet hub. And this lets you link all your Denon players together to share music and information across them, lets you connect to your PC, and lets you synchronize lighting and stage effects using the StageLink protocol. So it's really nice to have this built in. The days of needing a separate powered Ethernet hub are over. You've got one on the back of this mixer at all times, and it allows all of your Denon stuff to communicate. Both of the Prime mixers support dual USB. It has a dual USB sound card. They are completely separate sound cards, so this is great for handing over to other DJs or doing B2B sets where you both have your own laptop. And to sort of demonstrate that, I've got a Traktor set up over here on the left, connected with timecode with this turntable, and then over here on the right with the SC5000 player, we've got a Serato setup. And so you can see I've got this set up to this channel right here. We're getting our sound from the mixer itself, so Serato is configured to use the mixer as a sound source, and same in the case with Traktor. I've just got a little loop set up over here, and it's running with timecode. You can see these work independently of each other, completely separate sound cards. If you use Serato, you can also use timecode records, just like this one here. You could use a Serato timecode record, just like that. But the problem here is that you do need to be licensed for that. You need to have a Serato DVS license. Whereas with Traktor Pro, they've opened it up since version 3, where you can use it with pretty much any mixer. You get timecode access. So it works fine with that. In the case of Traktor, there is a disadvantage, which is with the players, because the players don't officially support Traktor the same way that they do in Serato with HID mode. And so what that means is, even though they are MIDI capable, you technically could kind of hack together a mapping for them and use it with Traktor. You're never going to get that full experience, that integration that you're going to get with Serato, because it is fully supported. If you're going to use Traktor, you're good with timecode, but not so much with the players, and sort of the opposite is true with Serato, unless you have a DVS subscription. Now, there is another thing to consider, which is if you are a Serato user and that is your main platform, then you could buy a set of LC6000s, which are strict DJ controllers, and you wouldn't be paying for all this extra stuff that you're not even using. We'll talk about that more a little bit later in the video. Alright, so now that we've gotten to know the mixers a little bit as sort of the heart of an overall Engine Prime setup, let's talk about the players. Now this is the Denon DJ SC6000 Prime. It's the company's flagship media player, which costs $15.99. Now it's got a huge 10.1-inch touchscreen. It's the same one that you find on the Prime 4. And this is the biggest distinguishing factor that separates it from the smaller SC5000, which has this 7-inch screen. It was also launched at the same price, but nowadays you can find it for much cheaper. You see, the SC5000 is officially discontinued, but they're still getting updates and upgrades right along with the SC6000 because it runs Engine OS. So therefore they still make great players, and you can often find them for a discount. So check it out. Here's an open box deal I found on the DJ Hookup right now for $824. That's a great deal for a great player. The SC5000 and 6000 have the exact same feature set. The 6000 is clearly a step up, though, don't get me wrong. It has upgraded aesthetics, it has a much better and larger screen, and overall it just feels much sturdier in the hands with the jog wheel and stuff like that. But feature for feature, these players offer the same things. Now, that being said, one of the best things about Denon DJ players is dual layer technology. What this means is that they're able to play 2 songs at once per player. So for a, quote, 4-deck setup, you actually only need 2 players. You can connect each layer to its own mixer channel, then just select which layer you're controlling using the button on top of the player. You'll notice if you look at the back of the units, they look exactly the same back here. It's the same ports, same connections, and that's because they have the same feature set. They support basically all the same things as the Prime 4 we talked about earlier. They have onboard Wi-Fi, and you can use streaming services like Beatport and BeatSource Link, SoundCloud Go Plus, Tidal, or Dropbox. They can do onboard track analysis. They both have 8 beat pads, which you can use for hot cues and loops and such. And they both generally give you the same experience. Both players are capable of playing from the same sources, including an internal hard drive if you choose to add one. Now again, the real upgrades with the 6000 came by way of its much better screen, better jog wheel, and just overall sexier look. But both the SC5000 and 6000 are available in /M variants. These versions have motorized platters, so if you're into scratching or you just really like that feeling of turntable torque running through your fingers, these options are available as well. They are otherwise the same players, they just have rotating mechanical platters added. So which of these should you choose? Well, if you're buying new players, just buy the SC6000s. They're arguably the best players on the market. They compete directly with the Pioneer CDJ 3000s, but they come at a much better price, especially considering availability and also the fact that dual layer is kind of like a 2-for-1 special on these things. Now, if you can find a pair of SC5000s for a great price, then definitely go for it. I borrowed these SC5000s from our good friend Trip Turlington, and yeah, they're terrific players. They aren't as striking as the SC6000s, but they literally work just as well. If you're a scratch DJ, but you're not willing to dive fully into turntables, then consider the SC6000/M, or a used set of 5000Ms. Unfortunately, I've never reviewed the actual motorized versions on this channel, so I can't say too much else about those and how they feel. But there is another option. Denon DJ also offers a straight-up DJ controller as a standalone player, so let's take a look at a handy little device called the LC6000. The LC6000 is truly a versatile device. Now, there are a number of ways to use it, and so we're going to explore several of them. Now, a single LC6000 offers full control over a single deck, or a layer. Basically, it's a modular, single-deck DJ controller. It's based on the design of the SC6000 players that we just discussed. It features a rugged build, grippy rubber buttons, and a premium brushed aluminum top panel. So aesthetically, it pretty much matches the SC players, though without that giant screen attached. At the heart of the unit is a full-size 8.5-inch capacitive touch jog wheel that features an HD central display. So it shows the playing track artwork or a custom DJ logo, layered with the playhead position and other essential performance information. Again, it's just like a Denon Prime player. You can adjust the tension of the jog wheel, and there's an RGB ring around the player which tells you which deck you're controlling. And just like the SC6000, you'll see 8 highly responsive performance pads along the bottom of the unit. You can set and trigger hot cues and loops, or remix on the fly with loop rolls and beat slices. Now, Denon DJ calls this a layer controller. It's USB powered, and you can plug it straight into an SC5000 or 6000 player to control that second layer. So with the dual waveform view, you can play 2 songs from one player, but have 2 sets of buttons and jog wheels to control them, and see everything that's happening on the SC player's screen. The LC is a modular DJ controller. It's meant to be one piece of a larger puzzle. So let's take that Prime 4 as an example. You can add 1 or 2 LC6000s to either side, and then use them to control decks 3 and 4. All it takes is one USB cable connecting each player straight to the controller, and you're all set. You don't need extra screens when you already have a lovely display on the Prime 4, capable of showing 4 decks worth of information, so why pay for them? What we actually want is tactile control over these decks, without having to share inputs with multiple layers. So, let's talk about example uses and setups. Of course, I just showed you how you can use an LC6000 as a layer controller alongside a set of SC5000 or 6000 players. You could use it with a pair, or you could combine it with one of the full-size players to complete your setup. And technically, you only need one screen and one CPU for dual deck play in a Denon setup, so this is a perfectly functional setup that saves money over a pair of multiplayers. Now, earlier in the video, we talked about how you could use the LC6000 to expand control of your Prime 4, which makes a huge amount of sense, especially for home use. But let's not forget that these are just DJ controllers, and they're capable of controlling your DJ software. So, for example, you could have a setup that looks like this: 2 decks controlled solely by the LCs, and a Serato-enabled mixer. Or go all out with 4 decks. Why not? If you're using Serato anyways, perhaps you don't want to pay for what essentially amounts to 4 computers with some SC6000s. You just want some nice chunky jog wheels and some sensible controls. Perhaps you already have a 4-channel controller that you like, such as the, Pioneer DDJ1000 or the newer FLX6, and you just like to be able to put hands on decks 3 and 4. This allows you to do that while leaving the computing and the displaying duties up to your laptop. Now, the LC6000 is also compatible with Virtual DJ and Algorithm's DJ Pro. That second one's interesting because they offer a mobile version, which begs the question, can you connect the LC6000s to an iPad or iPhone and use them to DJ? And the answer is yes, you absolutely can. Now, this is the beauty of the Algorithm software and the fact that they have a mobile port of it. Now, you can truly use the LCs in any way that you want, including by connecting it to a mobile device. Now, there are a few other DJ controllers that Denon DJ still has listed on their website. This is another case of discontinued but still supported, but they are really pretty nice all-in-one DJ controllers, so let's take a quick look. Now, there's the MC4000, which is a 2-channel controller for Serato. It has touch-activated platters, long-throw pitch faders, balanced booth and main outputs, and an extremely intuitive workflow with, easy-to-access looping and effects. You add in 2 mics and an aux input, and you have a pretty handy 2-deck controller, which is less than 20 inches wide. Now, next up is the MC7000. This has everything that the 4000 has and much more. This is a 4-channel controller meant for Serato, but it has a dual USB interface and allows you to mix external sources. So, just like our Prime mixers before, 2 DJs can connect to the controller at once, making for easy handovers or collaborations. Now, there's a lot more emphasis on performance, with 8 RGB backlit beat pads on each deck, a needle drop strip, controls for changing and matching the keys of your songs, a little tracking LED thing on the jog wheels, and DVS capability, meaning that you could use this as the center of your Serato timecode setup with some turntables. Then finally, there's the MCX8000. Now, this was sort of Denon DJ's first foray into that whole standalone DJ system thing, running engine software. So basically, this is a hybrid standalone / DJ controller for Serato. You get all that great stuff from the MC7000, but it also supports standalone playback using 2 channels, and it adds a couple of screens. Of course, you could still use those other channels to mix in Serato or use other sources. They also added an Ethernet port and compatibility with StageLink to synchronize with visuals and lighting. The whole thing is made out of metal, and it's a bit of a glimpse into what would ultimately become the Engine DJ ecosystem. If you found yourself in possession of one of these, bear in mind that Engine OS has kind of moved on since those days, and so you'll need to install an older version. Their website recommends Engine version 1.3, as well as firmware version 2.5, and links to those downloads are still provided. Now finally, I just want to give a quick mention to the Denon DJ VL12 Prime turntables. And technically, these aren't powered by Engine OS. I mean, they don't run any software. They're just analog turntables. But however, if you have a Denon DJ setup and you really like to play vinyl, these are a great choice. They have high torque platters, though you can lower that spinny power using a switch, an isolated motor design, an S-shaped tone arm for accuracy, and an adjustable pitch range of 8, 16, or 50%. And another cool thing is that there's this RGB light ring around the platter. Now this doesn't digitally connect to the rest of your setup, but all you need to do is twist a dial and change the color, whether that's to match the deck you're controlling or it's just an aesthetic choice. You can also adjust the brightness or go fully lights out. Now, Denon DJ also used to provide something that's kind of a rare sight these days, a standalone Serato box. The DS1 is a 2-channel audio interface that unlocks Serato and timecode access, allowing you to add this functionality to basically any mixer. Now, these are going for huge money these days, so if you have one, take note. And thus, we're coming to the end of this massive video, and please note, with a video this long and complex, I know I'm missing some things. Some of that is on purpose because I didn't want to make a 3-hour video, but some of that is just because I'm human. So if you've caught some important bits that I've left out or a mistake that I've made, please just kindly let me know in the YouTube comments. And this is my final reminder to you that all of this hardware is available for order at thedjhookup.com. They are the reason I was able to put my hands on all this stuff, get to know it, and then share my knowledge with you. So if you've decided to buy, please do me a favor and consider going through the DJ Hookup. Also, don't forget that we have a podcast. We have the longest running DJ talk show in the whole space. We've been running this podcast since 2013. We've got like 260 episodes. It's hosted by the homie Mo Dingo. So head on over to your favorite podcasting app and subscribe, or you could go to our sub channel here on YouTube and subscribe there.
And so, folks, that's going to wrap it up for today's guide to Denon DJ and other Engine OS powered hardware. I hope you enjoyed it today. Hit all the links down in the description for all the other reviews and, stuff where I do deep dives into each one of these individual components. But for now, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you all so much. Make sure you like and subscribe, and keep on spinning.